Coming up on today's episode, I'm showing you two of my favorite winter salads. They're absolutely delicious and they are both a full plate of food. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Dads. I'm Joey. We are a whole foods, vegan cooking channel. We do some product reviews, some DIY. Sometimes there's some baking with Tim. If you like what you hear so far, please hit that like button. Show us some love. And please think about subscribing and becoming part of the Plant-Based Dads family. If you're interested in supporting the show, we do have a Patreon page set up. There's a link below the video and tells you how to get to that. We'd really appreciate it. As a Patreon member, you would get early access to the videos Sunday night, and it would help us bring more quality content to the show. If you've been following the show for a while, you know that I'm doing the starch solution. Are you doing the starch solution with me? If you are, leave a note in the comment, let me know. The starch solution is a way of eating where you eat high carb, low fat, all whole foods, and you lose weight. It's worked for me. I've lost 30 pounds. I absolutely love being able to eat all my favorite foods and not have to be scared of carbs like on so many other crazy diets. And I also love doing this with you all instead of just doing it by myself. It's really helped me to stick to this and stay on target. One of the best places you can get support for doing the starch solution is our Facebook group. Plant-Based Dads, Starch Solution Enthusiasts is a picture of it right here. It's just filled with thousands of people who are either doing the starch solution or who have done it. Some are novices, some are experts, and it's a great place to share recipes, to get support, to really stay in contact with people who are being successful on this lifestyle. Currently in the Facebook group, we're on the last week of our 21-day 50-50 challenge for February. If you're doing the challenge with us, you've got 7 days to kind of finish strong and give it everything you've got, right? And just bring it home. I know that you guys can do this. Let's do it together. So you're loving the apron that I'm wearing? This is our PBD Madison apron. It's part of our merch line. It's not with Teespring, which is the pictures below the video, depending on what device you're using. But below that, in the description of the videos, there's a link for the apron. I love this because not only is this part adjustable here, right, but it also has some great pockets and, it's got a realistic tie that fits around you. It isn't really tight. So I absolutely love the fit on it, and it's kind of a lot of fun to wear when I'm cooking. So check out the link below if you're interested in purchasing an apron or any of the merchandise that we have listed below the video. So today's video is gonna be a lot of fun. It's two of my favorite winter salads. I used to think salads were a summer thing, but really they're not. You can really pack them with substance and starches, and they are a complete meal. The first one is our Southwest salad. It's loaded with beans and corn and crisp romaine lettuce and an amazing chipotle ranch dressing that you're absolutely gonna love. In addition, I'm showing you my winter harvest salad. Oh my gosh, so many great things. Some crisp lettuce, some tofu, some butternut squash, some beets, all in an amazing Dijon Maple dressing, and you're absolutely gonna love it. I use that dressing on so many different salads, but it works perfectly in this one. All right, I can't wait to show you what I've done this week. Let's get to the food. First up is our winter harvest salad. We're gonna start with preparing the greens. I'm using romaine lettuce right here, and here's what I do. Before I clean it, I cut it all up. I cut the end off, and then I take the knife and I cut it the long way. Then I turn it over on its side, and I cut it the long way one more time. So now I've cut it into a long T. Then I just go by and I slice off pieces a little bit at a time the short way. And I keep working my way all the way down to the end. Then I just toss all that in the salad spinner to wash, and I go on to the next one. I repeat the process with the second head of romaine, and now all of this lettuce is ready to be cleaned. Before I get it to the sink, I'm going to spray it with this fruit and veggie wash. I get this from Sprouts. It's a citrus-based wash, I think grapefruit. I'm going to spray it real well and get my hands in there and mix it around. And I'm going to spray it one more time to make sure everything kind of gets coated and it starts getting into all the different pieces of lettuce. After that's been sitting for a while, I take it over to the sink and I turn on the water full force. Then it causes that cleaner to start foaming and get into all of the different nooks and crannies. I keep moving my hand around as I'm filling the bowl up. I want to make sure I get all of this stuff moved around and any dirt comes off it. After it's been sitting for a while, I'm going to take it and dump it into the strainer part of the salad spinner. Then I'll use the faucet to get all the rest of the lettuce out of the salad spinner. And now we're at the part where we need to rinse all this off. So I'm going to take the water and get it all in there and use my hands to move it around and just make sure everything is nice and rinsed. I want to do a good job of this so this tastes nice and fresh when I eat it. Now that I feel like it's all rinsed, I'm going to put the strainer back in the salad spinner bowl. I'm going to let it fill up one more time with clean water before I dump it. Now that it's all filled up again with clean water, I'm going to swish everything around one last time to make sure everything's clean. And now I can just take out the strainer, dump that water out of there, put the strainer back, and I can start the process of spinning the salad. I'm just going to put the salad spinner on top. This is why I do this in the salad spinner bowl. Now I can just spin it out right here without transferring it to another bowl. Once I've spun it out, I'm going to take out the strainer, dump out any water that's spun out into the bottom, and put the strainer back. The salad is now cleaned and ready to serve. So I'm going to let that sit for a while I work on the dressing. For this salad, we're using our maple Dijon dressing. It's really simple to make. You just use equal parts Dijon mustard and maple syrup. I'm using 2 tablespoons of each here. I'm putting this in the blender and I'm going to blend this up here. I'm going to blend it on high for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds, just till it's all ground up and combined. After that, you should have a nice creamy dressing. Very similar to honey mustard, but instead it's maple mustard. I'm going to put that into a mason jar so I can throw it in the fridge so it can get nice and chilled before we use it. And this dressing is ready to serve. Next, I'm going to start on the toppings. The first one is tofu. This is how I open a package of tofu. I just slice along one side and then squeeze the package to drain out all the water. Then I take the package and drop it in the strainer and let it sit there for a minute or two while I let the excess water get out. Now it's time to take it and throw it on a towel. I lay it on a kitchen towel and then I kind of fold it once just so the entire tofu is coated with towel. And then I put a weight on it. This is a panini press, and that cast iron lid will press the water out. Then I open up the towel and I move the tofu to a dry part of the towel, and I do the same exact thing. I just make sure it's dry on the top and the bottom on that part of the towel, and I put the panini lid back on. After a few minutes, when the towel's nice and soaked from the tofu, it's ready to use. Now I'm going to take my block of tofu and I'm going to cut it the long way on the thin side. Then I'm going to lay it back down and I'm going to start cutting it the short way. I'm trying to make some nice tofu cubes to go in a salad. They need to be somewhat substantial. Now I'm going to cut it the long way into 3 or 4 strips. And you can see here I've got some nice cubes that I'm going to air fry that'll be perfect on top of the salad. I'm just going to go ahead and separate them all and make sure none of them are sticking together until they're all separated. You can see they're all separated and ready to go. Next, I've got a nice big bowl. I'm going to put about 3 or 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. Here I'm using tamari. Then I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of garlic powder and then about a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm also going to add in a little sprinkle of salt here and some fresh ground pepper. And if it looks like it's too thick, then you can add some water to thin it out. You can keep doing that till you get the consistency you want. It needs to make a rub for the tofu. Next, I'm going to drop in my tofu cubes. I'm going to be careful because I don't want to smash up the tofu. And I'm just going to use my hand to kind of roll it around until it all gets kind of coated here. You can shake the bowl back and forth if that works. This bowl is really shallow. I was afraid it's going to fly out of the bowl. And you can see here it looks absolutely beautiful, nicely coated and ready to go. I'm going to toss this into the air fryer. It's not all going to fit because I want to make sure they're not like on top of each other. There needs to be room for the air to move. And then I'm going to close up the air fryer, set it to 360 degrees for 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, I'm going to take it out and shake it around a little bit. Then I'm putting it right back in. You may need to use some spray oil here. I did not and it didn't stick, but sometimes I do have problems with it. After the final 4 minutes is up, I'm going to take it out and you can see how nice and brown and crispy those look. They're ready to eat. I'm going to dump them in a little storage container for the fridge while I continue to make the rest of this. And here I've got a nice glass container full of cooked tofu ready to go on top of any salad. The next topping I'm making is butternut squash. I'm going to roast this in the oven, and I'm using this squash here from Costco. It's already cut and ready to go, although I'm still going to cut it, and it's organic. This is in the produce section right outside the cooler. I'm going to take the pieces and cut them just into smaller bite-sized pieces. These are too big to put in a salad. I appreciate that they've peeled it and cut already, but they're still too big to use. So I'm just cutting them into bite-sized pieces. You can see here, it was simple and they're ready to go. Now I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag. I usually use these bags 3 or 4 times, so this one hasn't been used, but it will be used again after this. And I add a little bit of water, and I'm just going to do a little shake to make sure the water coats all of these, so when I put my seasoning in, it sticks. Next, I'm going to start with my seasoning. I've got some onion powder I'm going to toss in, about a teaspoon. Then I'm going to toss in some garlic powder, again, another teaspoon. You can do this to taste. I like plenty of spices. Now I'm putting in some organic oregano, about a half a teaspoon. And next I'm putting in some of my no salt seasoning, again from Costco. This is about a half a teaspoon also. And I also like to have some fresh ground pepper in here, so I'm gonna do a little bit of that. Now it's time to zip this up and shake, 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 shake. I wanna make sure everything gets nice and coated before I put it in the oven. Now I'm taking my sheet pan and laying out some parchment paper. Next I'm dumping the butternut squash right onto the parchment paper. I'm gonna spread it around and make sure they don't get steamed because they're on top of each other. And you can see these are ready to roast. At the same time, while those are roasting, I'm gonna make some beets in the oven too. So I'm taking a cast iron pan with a lid and I'm gonna put in some parchment paper to make sure that the beets don't stain. Now I've got these beets from Costco. They come in a package and there's 7 of them in here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes. So they're actually cooked and ready to eat, but I don't even like beets, so I have to roast them to get that steam flavor out of them. So I'm gonna put them in here and roast them with the butternut squash for an hour, even though they're already cooked. Now I'm gonna put the cover on, and I'm gonna cut off some of this extra parchment paper because I'm always afraid of a fire starting inside the oven, so I don't want this parchment paper to touch the burner. But that's just me, you do you. Next, I've got my preheated oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm tossing in the butternut squash in the middle shelf, and then I'm tossing in the beets on the top shelf. I'm gonna cook both of them for 45 minutes. You can see here how good the beets look. They're roasted, they're absolutely beautiful. Next, I'm gonna take the beets, and I'm gonna cut them into little pieces that I can use in the salad. First, I'm gonna slice them the short way, and then I'm gonna kind of put it all back together and just slice it the long way. I just wanna get like little sliced chunks out of it. However you do it, it's fine. You can just keep them sliced in there once, and that's good enough. But I don't really want like whole chunks of beets in my salad. The slices are fine. I'm just gonna do this till I get all of the beets sliced. You can see here that I've got them in a glass container so I can store them, but they're ready to go. And let's look at the butternut squash. Look how brown and crispy that is. I mean, that has some great flavoring on it right there. You just look at it and see that that looks good. So I'm gonna take the squash and put it in a storage container. I just pick up the paper that it's on and kind of drag it by the 4 corners over to the container and then kind of make a little funnel out of it and dump it all into the container there so I don't have to get another spatula dirty or anything like that. And you can see here, it's ready to store. Another topping I like on salad is nuts. So I've got some pecans here and I'm just kind of chopping these up so I can toss them in the salad. And then I've got a little container here I'm just gonna put them in. And these are ready for topping any lucky salad. Okay, so now everything's ready for our winter harvest salad. It's time to put this thing together. I've got a nice cold bowl that was in the freezer here for about 15 minutes, so it's nice and chill. I'm gonna start adding my romaine lettuce that I washed and cut just to get enough in the bowl to fill it up. And then I'm also adding some super greens on it, some chard and kale. Now I'm spooning in my air-fried tofu. Right, that's gonna be a good texture in that salad. Next, I'm adding in my butternut squash. I just want enough in there to give it a nice flavor, but I don't wanna overdo it. Now I'm putting in my beets. This is a non-starch, so this is working out fine here. It gives it a nice red color. And then I'm adding in some currants, which are just kind of little baby dried up raisins. Now I'm adding in some of the chopped pecans. I don't wanna overdo it because those are high in fat. And then I've got my maple Dijon dressing. Right in the center there, ready to pour. And here you have my beautiful winter harvest salad. This here is one of my favorites. Next up is our Southwest salad. We're gonna start with making our Chipotle Ranch dressing. This requires 3/4 of a cup of starch solution mayo. I have a link in the description below this video that takes you to another video that shows you how to make that mayo, so check that out. We're gonna use 3/4 of a cup here. Then we're gonna add in 1.5 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lime juice. After that, it's 1 to 3 garlic cloves. I'm putting in 3, I am Italian. And then we're gonna take a can of chipotle peppers and adobo sauce and add in 1 small chipotle pepper. You can do this to taste. I'm a wimp when it comes to spices. We're also gonna add in 1 teaspoon of the sauce from the can. Now we're adding 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Then we're gonna put the cover on the food processor and mix this all until it's smooth. Now it's time to pour it out into a container so I can keep it fresh in the fridge till I need it. And that's our Chipotle Ranch dressing, folks. This is absolutely delicious. Next I need to saute some onions. I just got some red onions, half sliced, and I'm gonna throw them in a little frying pan here to water saute, I guess I should say. And I'm just gonna steam these and move them around until they're sauteed and soft and ready to put on the salad. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes. You can see here, they're nice and soft and ready to go. Now I'm ready to plate up our Southwest salad. Again, I've got some romaine here that I'm tossing in to fill up the bowl. And then once again, I'm using some super greens, kale, Swiss chard, that sort of thing. Now I'm adding 1/2 cup of pinto beans, whole pinto beans. I just opened a can, rinsed them, let them dry, and threw them on the salad. I'm also adding some frozen corn that I put in the microwave for 2 minutes to thaw out. Next, I'm adding some diced up cherry tomatoes. And then I'm putting in half an avocado. That's a lot of avocado, and I'm gonna share this salad with Tim. So you probably don't want more than a quarter avocado each if you're on the starch solution. If you're not worried about fat, then that's a different story. In the middle, I'm gonna add my nicely sauteed onions. What a great color, right? And now I'm gonna add in my chipotle ranch dressing. It's ready to go. The last step I'm gonna do on this is top it with some chopped cilantro, just to kind of give it that fiesta feel. And look at that, folks. What a beautiful salad. This thing's ready to eat. Yeah, baby. All right, so what did you think? Two amazing winter salads, right? Once you make all the toppings, you can make salads for days with those. So I know it seems like a lot to go through to make all that stuff from scratch, but those ingredients will last for way more than one salad. So you'll get like 3 days of salad out of it. That's usually how it works for me. Realistically, I have at least one of those salads made for my family 4 nights a week. They're just so filling, and they're a complete meal. We absolutely love them. All right, guys, that's our video for today. Please hit that like button. Show us some love. What's not to like? If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Click the bell. You'll get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Monday. If there's a DIY video, that's on Wednesday. And if there's baking with Tim or anything else, that's on Saturday. And leave a comment. Let us know. Are you doing salads during the winter? I think salads during the winter make perfect sense. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.